bought these online. It was supposed to be a USB connector, but as you can see here, it's not a USB connector. It's a PS1, PS2 style connector, which doesn't suit my needs. So I thought, what can we do to salvage this? So I've got one here that I already opened. And I guess what we could do, and what I will try and do, is to turn this into a controller for a Commodore 64. Yes, it does have a chip in it, which I won't use. What I will do is I will drill holes through the tracks on the board, and then take these wires off and run wires onto those tracks, which will then mean that these are just wires that will go to a 9-pin connector that I've got here. Okay, I don't know where I put it, but I've got some 9-pin connectors, so I'll use a 9-pin connector that I can then plug into the joystick port of a Commodore 64. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I've just desoldered the board. So, well, desoldered the wires off the board, I should say. So that's that done. So what I'm going to do next is just work out which of the tracks. So there'll be some tracks which are common, and then there'll be tracks which are for individual switches. Generally, you can tell. You have a close look at this. You should be able to tell on here that where you'll find that track there, that track there, and that track there, and that track there, and that track there. They're all common. They all join together. So these ones here are all the common ones. So it's these ones, this one, and this one, which are the actual switch points. So I drill holes into the tracks here, and there, and where's the one? There, and then that enables me to wire into it, run a wire that'll come out of the controller, and so that one there is actually the position, up, down, left, right, and the buttons are on this side. So there you go. Okay, so got my drill, and so I'm just going to drill through. I will drill through probably all of them, and I can make my choice if only one. So there you can see I've just drilled the hole. This one here, is a bit trickier because it's a very small track, but careful enough and I'll be able to do it. Yep, that's alright. There you go, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 4 switches with your common. Okay, all done. Just checking to make sure they're all done. So all those switches are done now. Now it's just a matter of getting a wire and working on it. The only thing I might need to do is, you'll see here, is that if the chip interferes with the switches, I'll have to just break the tracks. Alright, so I found some cable which has six wires plus shielding. So that's great, because I need because I'm going to go left, right, up, down, which is 4, plus I've got a fire button, which is 5, but I'm also going to wire up one of the buttons, wire up one of the buttons as an up. Some games that I play, I don't like having to push up on the actual directional buttons. I like to push a button for up. So this up and this button here will be both up, and that's what the sixth wire will be. And this is great because this sixth wire also has shielding, so I can use that as my ground. So that it technically gives me 7 wires. So I'll start working on this and getting the these braided wires here. They will be my my ground, and it's on both ends. It's not many, but doesn't matter. All I need is a little bit, and it will work. So okay, here I go. Okay, so they're ready for soldering. So this will be the end that goes into the 9-pin connector. There you go, that'll go into the 9-pin connector. And the reason why that will go into the 9-pin connector is because the wires are shorter. For the joypad, I'll need to actually lengthen these ones out, as I need to be able to run them on different parts of the board. Going through the board here, they'll need to run to different parts of the board. Okay, now I've just closed it up. I'll open it up just to show you how it was all soldered in. I did close it up because I just wanted to make sure it went together okay before I did anything, and it did. So if I take that off, there it is, all wired through, soldered in. All fits nicely. I trimmed the solder joints on the board, so these buttons actually press, but they are not wired in. I'm not using those. It doesn't make sense to me to put those in. They were never going to be a part of it, but I can't leave them out either. So we'll just screw this in, and I marked on a piece of paper what colours the wires were for up, down, left, right and fire. So when I get my wiring for the Commodore 64, I'll know exactly where they go, because I'm already aware of the colours they are, so I don't have to open this up again. Always try and keep track of when you're doing any colour coding of wiring and stuff. Before you close things up, although it doesn't really take that long to open and close this, but might as well avoid the hassle. So the cable was good, it was a nice size, it fit quite nicely in that small little cavity, so I can pull on it, it won't do anything. It's got a bit of give, but it's okay. And there you go, all the buttons push nicely, so it will work. Okay, so soldered all the wires on, and forgot to record it. I was going to record putting this on, but forgot to push the button. So, but basically I soldered the wires onto the pins, and then I've got had some heat shrink, and I did it this way so that I can grab this part here and pull it in and out of the machine. So it's got something to grab onto. Looks a bit dodgy, but it actually works quite well. I've already just tried it out, so I can grab a hold of that, put it in, pull it out, and it doesn't pull on the wires because this heat shrink is quite a thick heat shrink. I bought this really thick heat shrink. Inside it's nice and shiny and sticky, so it works really well. What you can do if you want to, I didn't, but what you can do is that on the wires, put some hot melt glue. A lot of people do that, and it's actually quite good. I've done it on a previous one, and it works quite well. This time around I didn't. I wanted to try it because I hadn't tried it without the hot melt glue, and it's still just as nice anyway. That this heat shrink works really well. But the hot melt glue, obviously, once it dries up, you put this around, and it's really good. But yeah, there it is. There's now this dodgy PS1 style joypad turned into a Commodore 64 joypad, and as I said, that's the fire button, and that's the up button as well as that. So when you play a game where you don't want to use this to go up, you can just go left and right and push that and then fire. So you've got two fire buttons now. So cool.